Hey everyone, Ian from Eurogamer here, and I've made another trip down to Digital Foundry's lair, and this time I'm joined by the legend that is Rich Leadbetter to talk about Project Scorpio, because Rich, you went to Microsoft Redmond to find out all about it, is that right?
That is correct, yeah. I was invited to see the new console, a good 6-7 months before it's going to be out, and yeah, impressive stuff.
Cool, well, I think the big question everyone wants to know, the big question I want to know is Scorpio going to be better than the PS4 Pro?
Well, almost certainly yes.
All right, well, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like and perhaps subscribe to Eurogamer for plenty more Scorpio coverage in the future. No, Ollie, no, what? No, they won't think we're biased. Look, okay, right, you want, okay, a little bit more detail. All right, no worries, no, don't shout, okay? All right, sorry, bye. But love you too. Bye. All right, so it turns out Ollie wasn't happy with the amount of detail I went into there. So if you could please tell us exactly why you think the Scorpio is going to be better than the PS4 Pro.
Well, to be clear, it's going to be more expensive because it's putting in more technology into the box. So yeah, obviously in terms of like the core sort of computational power of the machine, yeah, it's going to be better. So example, CPU-wise, it's got a new custom CPU core built on the same sort of technology that we've seen before, but it's faster, 2.3 gigahertz there versus 2.1 gigahertz in the PS4 Pro. GPU, 6 teraflops confirmed there versus 4.2 in the Pro. Memory bandwidth, which sort of keeps everything fed with data, 218 gigabytes per second on PS4 Pro, 326 on the Scorpio. So yeah, I think it's going to be a case of, well, you pay for what you get. I think, all of this is going to come at an extra cost. So you pay more, you get a more powerful console.
Right, so in layman's terms, that means the graphics are going to be better, faster, it's going to be able to pull off more?
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. The PS4 Pro has actually done a really good job in terms of scaling up 1080p games to work on 4K screen. Uses various sort of techniques. Sometimes it just upscales from something like 1440p to full 4K, and it can look okay. There are a few native 4K games as well, FIFA and whatnot. But fundamentally, Scorpio has more power, so it should be able to do everything that the PlayStation 4 Pro can do. So if it is going to use those upscaling techniques, then you can expect smoother frame rates or kind of richer visuals, They can dial up the graphics settings, so to speak. But what Microsoft is kind of wanting to sell to us is the concept that this is a true native 4K box, 8 million pixels displayed each frame. And that's the kind of big sell that they're sort of associating with this console. Okay,
so what does this mean then for previous games that have released on the Xbox One? Is there going to be some kind of boost feature like we see on the PS4
Yeah,
Pro?
okay, so it's pretty much exactly like PlayStation 4 in terms of the core concept. So there will be games that get a patch that will exercise the full power of Scorpio. So, I don't know, just off the top of my head, I'd say there's a pretty good likelihood that Forza Horizon 3, for example, I mean, that game was built on PC for 4K, and they didn't do that work just for 4K PC owners. It will transfer across to Scorpio. So there will be patched titles just like we saw on the PlayStation 4 Pro. And yeah, they should look pretty good. Now, when it comes to existing Xbox One titles without a patch, now here's where things get interesting. They are promising full backwards compatibility with every single Xbox One game, and they're saying that they will look and run better. So yeah, pretty impressive stuff, pretty bold claim, and they're going to do this in several ways. First of all, because there's so much extra GPU power, all of it is going to get dedicated to those Xbox One games. So dynamic resolution games, if they sort of vary between, I don't know, 720p and 1080p, we can be pretty confident they will lock at 1080p. Frame rates will be smoother, so if they don't hit 30 FPS or 60 FPS, they'll be smoother. Probably hit the target. I mean, we've got 4 times the GPU power here. And loading times will be faster. because the CPU is faster, so when data comes in off the hard drive, it can decompress quicker. And on top of that, the hard drive itself is faster because it needs to be able to stream in 4K assets quicker. If it's not streaming 4K assets, everything will be quicker anyway, you know. And another thing is that the Scorpio has more memory. Now, obviously, Xbox One games don't need it, but they've got like 3 gigs left over doing nothing, so they use it as a RAM disk. So data that won't even need to stream from the hard drive, you know, if it's been used before, it'll be in that cache, it can jump directly to it. So, you know, in theory, loading time should be much faster, and they're going to improve texture filtering, so you sometimes in the distance you see kind of blurry textures on Xbox One. Those will be much sharper.
So how do you think all this is going to affect the famous digital Foundry frame rate tests? Normally the PS4 Pro has an edge.
Yeah, I mean, well, in terms of base PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One, there's kind of like a similar differential in teraflops. It's 1.31 on Xbox, 1.84 on PS4, and so that's why we see higher resolution and higher frame rates, typically on the PlayStation 4, or I should say more consistent frame rates. It hits the target more consistently. And I think, you know, there's a strong likelihood that you'll see similar things on PlayStation 4 Pro and Project Scorpio. The other thing is going to be the visual aspect. I mean, it's got more memory. So all of these 4K textures that we see on PC games, there's not really the room to keep them in memory on PS4 Pro because it's only got 8 gigs of memory. The Scorpio actually has 12 gigs of memory. 4 gigs of that is kept aside for the system, 8 gigs of it is for gaming. So yeah, I mean 3 gigs extra over PS4 Pro, all of that will be used on higher resolution buffers and of course better artwork.
Now this little thing here that we've got on the table is an actual Scorpio chip. Can you tell us exactly what we're seeing here?
Well, what it is, Ian, is first off the production line. I mean, they're literally making the Scorpio engine, as this is known. They're literally making that now, and this is one of the first chips off the production line, and they've kind of turned it into a nice presentation piece of furniture, which is pretty awesome, I think.
Nice little dust catcher.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the back there, there's 2,400 pins there, wow. And at the top there on the edge, the pitch, the minimum pitch is 0.8 millimeter. So there is a lot of connections there for power signaling, that kind of thing. And what they're doing to kind of increase efficiency in the box, I mean, every single piece of silicon has slight variations, so it has different power requirements. They're actually going to match the power requirements of that specific chip with the specific motherboard it's paired with. So it's going to be much more efficient, produce less heat, and hopefully keep the noise down on the fans.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask, actually, because the PS4 Pro obviously is a bigger box than the standard, the base PS4.
Yeah.
Have you seen the actual build of the Scorpio? Do you know what it looks like in its box?
Yeah,
bigger?
I have seen it. I can't really comment on it because this is their big E3 reveal, but I think people are going to be quite impressed when they see it.
Okay, so what have we got here on the TV screen? This looks like a lovely picture of some cars, but what's so special about it?
A very astute observation there, Ian. Well done. Essentially, when I went to see Microsoft the afternoon, we went to see Turn 10, and they were telling me about how they helped to use their engine technology to kind of profile what game engines do to the silicon and how they can suggest changes to the silicon from how the engine works. What they also showed was, well, essentially this, which is Forza tech. It's kind of like Forza Motorsport 6 era technology, game engine technology that was ported onto a very early prototype Scorpio in just 2 days. And yeah, it's fascinating because, well, first of all, the concept of getting a new console up and running with one of the most advanced game engines ever created in 2 days is a phenomenal achievement. And secondly, well, it was a good way to show just how fast Scorpio is. So if we take a look at the top there, Res 3840 by 2160, this confirms that we're looking at a native 4K game. Okay, so the big sell for Scorpio was native true 4K gaming. This is 4K, and it is running at, as it says up there, 60 frames per second, just like the Xbox One version. Now, awesome. Now, the thing that really is interesting is that this is the Xbox One game scaled up to 4K. You've got 4K textures there, but otherwise it is the Xbox code running, okay, with the Xbox feature set. And you can see from the GPU there, 66.19%. What that is essentially telling us is that there's 34% of overhead left on the graphics core, which can be used to make this image look better. So that's pretty awesome. Right. And, you know, they were kind of figuring, you know, what can we do with this? And obviously on Forza 6, they've got PC Ultra settings, which is kind of like almost like a flagrant abuse of GPU power. And they just turned on the Ultra settings, and that 66 turned up to 88, but it was still running at 4K 60 frames per second. They'd basically tapped out the engine with Scorpio here. And there's two reasons why this is awesome. First of all, the fact that they've got this code up and running in 2 days is, you know, unprecedented, quite possibly. And secondly, the fact that they did it so quickly means that 34% overhead, they are, you know, they can actually spend the time getting the most out of what Scorpio offers instead of spending that time getting their engine up and running. So they can pour all of that, they were saying they can pour all of that into the quality as opposed to sort of technical issues.
Well, it looks beautiful on a still image. Did you get to see it moving?
Yeah, I did indeed see it moving, and that sort of utilization there, 66.19%. When, I mean, this is a stress test. This has got all of the cars always in view, but when you turn a corner, you don't see all the cars. The GPU dropped to about 55%, and there was kind of like maybe one or two really tough points on the track where it would get maybe as high as 70. But the point is that on Xbox One, that would be closer to like 88, 90% utilization at 1080p. So, you know, this is, you know, Microsoft's mission was to create a 4K games console, and based on what I saw, and we should stress this is one game and it is one of the most performant game engines on the market today. I mean, you know, based on this, the promise of 1080p Xbox One games running at 4K has been delivered, and you know, they were saying that they could do the same with 900p, and with this kind of overhead, quite possibly.
Wow. So I guess one question that is kind of playing on my mind is there anything that the PS4 Pro still does better, or could still do better than the Scorpio?
Well, kind of no. On a sort of theoretical level, you've got to remember that hardware is just one part of the equation, and on the other part you've got software. And then when you look at the people that are working for Sony, you know, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla Games, they are achieving some phenomenal results. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn, I strongly recommend to play that on PS4 Pro at 4K because it looks amazing. So, you know, having the hardware advantage is always great, and it does tend to translate into, you know, improved multi-platform game experiences. But it's not going to change, you know, the situation that, you know, there's a ton of great exclusives on PS4 Pro that, you know, just look incredible. Do you have any idea when it's going to release, or is this still an E3 reveal? I guess that's an E3 reveal, but, you know, come on, it's got to be out by November, isn't it? Otherwise, you know, when? Indeed, yeah. Well, thank you very much for talking to me about the Scorpio. It's been absolutely fascinating. Before we go though, I was wondering if you'd be able to sign my copy of Mean Machine Sega. Yeah, we've talked about this. I didn't actually write this book. It's all a horrendous con trick. But yeah, I can sign it for you for the lulz. All right. Okay. Best trip to Digital Foundry ever. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Goodbye. Cheers. Oh, and also probably you should check out Digital Foundry's coverage on their YouTube channel as well. Yeah, it's pretty good. If I hadn't said that, you'd have kicked my head in after the video started. I'm going to do that anyway.